Hello, everybody. Welcome back to How Come. Today we are talking to two former guests, both from a very, very long time ago, and I am so excited to catch up with them. The first guest is James Tom, comedian and star of the one-man show Less Lonely. He was also featured in Hannah Gadsby's Gender Agenda on Netflix and is a producer on the upcoming show King of Drag on Reverie, coming out June 22nd. Our second guest is Sydney Baloue. He is an artist, writer, producer, director, dancer, archivist, and journalist. He was a co-executive producer on HBO Max's Legendary, seasons 1 and 2. He is the first Black trans man in the Writers Guild of America after working on The Vanishing Half and Tom Swift. And he's author of a forthcoming memoir about the history on ballroom culture and his own life. Today, we're talking about the difference between living as a lesbian who dates women to now being a gay man who dates men. And so much more. It's an amazing episode. If you want to listen to it unedited with video, the full thing is actually 2 hours. So patreon.com/howcome. Highly recommend. And yeah, happy June, happy Pride, and you're going to love this episode.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Welcome, James.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So happy that you're back.
I feel like it's been many, many years since the last time I did this show.
Many years.
And everything has changed.
Yes. And Syd, welcome to you.
Remy, I'm so excited to be here too. And yes, also so many things have changed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why does it still have this old name? Hold on, let me change this. I don't know why it still has Syd Extravaganza. I left the house, so...
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about things that have changed. James?
Wow, pressure.
James?
Yes, I did change my name rather recently, publicly.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. It was a long time coming. It had to happen.
It fits so well.
Thank you.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I'm a gay guy now. I believe I definitely was not the last time I was on.
I think you were non-binary.
Yes, who's not non-binary these days?
Me.
Okay,
I'm so not.
fair enough. No, fair enough. Syd, the one non-binary man.
And also me.
And Remy.
I said this on the last episode and I didn't fully explain myself, so that's something that has changed too. For a while, I was non-binary she, they, and then I took that they right back.
Mm.
It happens. In the 2020s, it happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
And it feels fine. You know, like for me, I think it was just me being like, well, I'm not the way I've been trained to think girls are, you know, so I must be a secret third thing. And it's like, no, you've been trained to think girls are one thing. We're like, they're much more than that. So
Hooray.
that's my one big change.
And in 2025, it's very brave of you to take that they back.
You know what? I think it's also, as much as a joke it is, like there are detransitioners that like people think it's this whole thing that makes trans people illegitimate. And I'm like, no, it just shows that like gender is fluid.
Yes.
And you can try things and you can
Amen.
go back and forth, like.
And detransition is transition.
Totally.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that, but it is.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, totally true. Also, Demi Lovato did this. No shade. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Demi says that she did it because it was getting annoying, like people calling her the wrong pronouns. That's what I read.
Interesting.
And, like
Yeah.
that sucks, but it's whatever makes your life feel better.
Totally.
Syd, what's changed for you?
I feel like so much because I was trying to remember, when did we do our interview? Do you remember?
Well, you were still, I think it was season 3. You were still in the house of Extravaganza. I think it was during the first season of Legendary.
Oh, wow. So it was probably like 2020. Okay, yes.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I left the House of Extravaganza. Whoop, whoop. The reason I left, honestly, is I got sober.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, for me, my vice was really weed and like just too much partying. Yeah, no. I mean, and it's a lot. It's like I've had a lot of deeper healing.
Sure.
James, you mentioned you became a gay boy.
I did.
I have come to a whole new space I mean, I've fully achieved the transition I want. My pronouns are he, him, his, and girl. I always say you can girl me because I hang out with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went through gay boy university, which was really fun, and I learned a lot about myself. And then recently, I like hooked up with a cis woman,
Ooh.
and she was queer, and it was the first time I had sex with somebody post transition, like not as a lesbian. And I have some interesting insights. It was really great, very pleasurable, sober, so many things.
Amazing.
But it was super surprising because it really makes me think more about like, well, what is gender? What is sex?
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about that stuff, so
Yeah.
We can get into it.
When like you and I were on the phone, I think a few months ago, and you were talking about how like you went from basically like a lesbian to like man to gay to, and then basically like what the scene is like when you're dating and fucking as a lesbian versus dating and fucking as a gay guy. And I reached out to James and I was like, do you have any insight on the matter? And he said, very much so.
Ugh, this is my whole thing right now.
Oh, wow.
So tell me about your journey, basically.
Here's the basic timeline of my personal life as graphs against the global events of the world. I started my hormonal transition in November 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, 4 months after that, the pandemic would hit and we would all go into isolation. So I spent my first year, basically, of my transition in almost total isolation because I was very serious.
It's like a chrysalis.
Yes, it was very cocoon mode. Extremely like strange, like teen boy prison workout.
Hilarious.
Cocoon mode.
Lots of push-ups.
I had a girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
I was in a kind of ill-fated polyamorous relationship with a married woman who was married to another lesbian.
Okay.
And then I started having these kind of, pubescent gay boy feelings, but there was nothing I could do about it because we were in isolation. So I would be on Grindr just like chatting with people.
But you hadn't been into men at all before?
No, and well, looking back, I did have like one trans boyfriend in like 2014, 2015. And looking back, I actually think...
I loved that man.
No, I didn't like him.
Okay.
But he was a white Ryan, as so many of them are. But looking back, I like experimented a lot sexually with him.
Okay.
In a way that I hadn't really been doing with women. And now I'm sort of like, oh, like maybe I was only comfortable doing that because he was a guy. Like I just had never thought about it that way. But other than that, like I had never been with a cis man.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when kind of we got vaccinated,
it turned me gay.
It
Don't
did.
tell RFK. Don't.
Yeah.
It did. The vaccination turned me gay. The microchip in my brain, it flipped towards cock. And yeah, and I started like seeing this person who I had been chatting with on Grindr, and then that caused like a huge polyamorous blow up in my relationship.
Why?
Because my married girlfriend couldn't handle me seeing somebody else.
That feels
Wrong. Yeah, kind of like straight up regular style wrong. Now I agree with you. At the time, I thought it was complicated. It's actually not complicated at all.
Yeah.
It's quite
like
simple.
I know that there are rules, but like, isn't the point of poly to like?
I know, not be possessive. LOL.
Yeah.
One would think. And one would also think that if you have a whole spouse at home,
Yeah.
you have somebody you can go to.
And if like your partner is like, oh, I'm like having this like chrysalis moment and like a development in my life, that you'd be like, oh, I'm having some compersion for you and like excitement about like your new excitement.
Yeah, theoretically,
yes.
Do you think it was also because it was a guy, like a cis guy? Because it's like the one thing that she can't give you is a biocock.
I do think that maybe there was a flash of like seeing me take to faggotry very easily and rather well, that maybe she was threatened by. But I don't know at the end of the day what her problem was. So then that blew up, and then after that, after I was free
Yeah.
to do what I wanted, I just kind of dove headfirst into gay guy land.
Into a Troye Sivan video.
Troye Sivan stuff is
not
key.
Troye Sivan.
It's just my dream. Like, honestly, I like it being a bisexual woman. Like, I'm like, yes, I could enter the, like girls dating girl lesbian world. However, it doesn't look as fun as a Troye Sivan video.
The people who have expressed the most like envy towards me about this portion of my life have been cis lesbians.
Yeah.
I have so much to say about this. So, with my trajectory, I was a gold star lesbian. I was always like a butch lesbian, she, her, and I realized I was at the tail end of like the dyke bar era.
It's over?
Well,
it's been...
So many of them have closed.
Oh, no.
There are more documentaries about there not being lesbian bars than there are lesbian bars.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Cubbyhole is like a not even really dyke-ish anymore-ish.
It's like a kind of like tourist attraction now.
Exactly. It's like the
For
memory of what it
straights.
was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because I went to school, I went to UPenn in Philly. Sisters was like the place. Totally unsustainable. I remember you'd pay like $10 and you get like 10 drink tickets or something absurd. It's like, okay, obviously we know I closed. And even in Paris, when I studied abroad, I remember there was a place called the Troisième Lieu, or the third place, and also it doesn't exist anymore.
There's no third places anymore.
Only two.
Yeah. Places are binary now.
But anyway, I was a butch lesbian. I would date a lot of high femmes. And I mean, back then I was also the serial monogamer.
Yeah, me too.
Some of that was just like me hopping around so much because I lived in Europe for 5 years. I was in Berlin, and then I lived in the Bay Area for a bit, then back to Berlin, Paris, London, then New York. And
so my girlfriend in every port, or
more or less. And I would get into these really like, I mean, I look back, it is very fuckboy territory, but I would do these like 3-month like super intense stints, and then it'd be like, oh, we're off to the next place, and like I don't know where this is going, or blah blah blah, and then move. But the thing was, my transition started in like 2016 when I was in London, and I started using different pronouns. I totally used he, him back then. I wanted to start HRT or like start testosterone. But when I look back, it's interesting because I did have some gender dysphoria when I was dating in Paris. And I was dating this like gorgeous high femme. She was like multi-hyphenate, like dancer, choreographer, super smarty pants person. And we took a photo by Notre Dame. And I had like such low self-esteem back then. And like, I look back and it's like, oh, the image I had of myself was I think I like wanted to be a man. And then we took this photo, and then I remember I posted it on Facebook or something because I wanted all my friends to see. I was, again, super fuckboy territory. Because she wasn't totally out at that point, too. There's like so much stuff.
Oh, no.
I know. So I like accidentally outed her because of my ego. And, but I didn't like the way I looked. And I think like there was a perception of myself that I had versus like the reality. And I was like, she looks like this gorgeous, beautiful woman. And I look like this little boy. Like, why, what is going on here? And then fast forward, though, I started HRT when I moved to New York. And it was within a couple of like weeks. Because, when you start T, you join what's called the 4-H Club. You get happy, hairy, horny, and hungry.
Speak for yourself.
Really?
I got a good Pac-Man of those things. Mostly horny and hungry.
Not happy, still smooth.
Smooth as a porpoise.
Oh, well. I mean, that's no shade. That might be the Asian part of you. I mean, I have the South Asian side, so that's the hairy part. But I will say, like, I could feel myself not feeling comfortable in these like queer femme dominant spaces anymore, and feeling like, oh, this isn't really my vibe. I love the
Had
man.
you felt comfortable in them before, like before your transition?
Yes. And I mean, it's hard because I also was like living in Europe. So I don't know if it was just like different contexts in London, but I did feel comfortable, and I felt like it was my space, and I could feel myself being like, oh, I'm constantly being attacked for the masculinity that I am like incubating, and like, I don't want to be in this space anymore. And then at the same time, I mean, I used to watch gay porn sometimes as a lesbian. I think that was like always this running joke with lesbians of like, you know, it's like one of those many things that lesbians would do.
Gay male porn.
Yeah.
I watched gay porn constantly, and it never made sense to me at all. Like, it never made sense to me why I liked it so much.
Okay.
And now I'm like, oh, you idiot. Like, it just makes perfect sense. Like, sometimes the simplest answer is
It's
the
right
answer.
there. Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I was like, oh, I've seen The Kids Are All Right. Annette Bening loves gay porn. I'm just like Annette Bening.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. I was wrong.
And had you felt comfortable like in lesbian spaces or like women loving women spaces before your transition?
You know, what's interesting is I had always chosen to be in those spaces because I came out as queer from a very young age.
Yeah.
You know, from like 14,
Yeah.
I was queer. So I had always chosen to be in those spaces. You know, I went to women's college. I went to Smith College. I wanted to go because I literally was like, I'm a lesbian and this is the place where I'm going to have the easiest time. And I actually wonder all the time now, not in a regretful way because I feel fine about the way things panned out for me, but I am like, if I had gone to a co-ed college,
Would I have figured things out sooner?
Sooner or way later.
Oh.
Because what you can do at women's college is you can change your name and pronouns like immediately.
No
and
way.
people will take to it right away and be fine with it. But so I was choosing to be in all of these lesbian spaces for literally like 17 years. And now looking back, I realize I wasn't comfortable, but I didn't know that.
Okay. But it was more comfortable than like straight world. So maybe it felt...
I could never do that.
Yeah. So it felt like more comfortable, but like less comfortable than where you are now.
Yeah, I just realized I was very self-conscious and I felt inadequate because I was masculine for a lesbian, but I was not butch. I've always been very effeminate. And I just felt like I wasn't adequate as a butch and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then once I started identifying as a gay guy, everything really clicked for me. And I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot more sense than what I've been doing for literally almost 20 years.
Okay. I'm happy for that. I think that's like amazing for like a little click moment. And it's like, oh my God, everything's finally in place.
Yeah.
It's just that I already thought I did this 20 years
Totally.
ago. And now here I am again.
But we were just talking, it can only get better.
Oh, well, Dan Savage. But I will say this too. It's interesting because, like, I used to envy the gay boys when I was a lesbian because they were.
I still
partying.
do.
I mean, don't. Yeah. They have a lot of dark shit in the world too. So
they're crazy. They're crazy.
It's a mixed bag. I realize everybody very mixed bag. But I will say because I'll say this, like I was saying in that early aughts lesbian world, everything was like acoustic guitars, very laid back, very like let's stay at home. And I was like a turn up person, and I was like, no, I want to go out, I want to dance, I mean, that's how I ended up in ballroom. I was like, I want to be in the mix, I want to be in a competitive space, I want to be with the shady ladies. Like, I don't want to just like, you know, whatever, just proceed into the bushes. But I was going to say, for me, the turning point was 2019. I was like, I'm into guys, and like, this is a different feeling. And I told my good friend, Michael Tom.
House of Tom?
No.
I know, no relation.
No. different Tom, no relation. And he would go to Transferno, which was this dungeon, or is a dungeon in New York, that is specifically for transmasculine folks and cis guys. Ooh. And he was like, you know, maybe you can go and just browse. And I was like, okay. And I remember I bought my little jock strap, but I get there and, you know, it was such an interesting space to be in because obviously it's like male only. It was also very welcoming. And there was kind of this level of like mundane life. Like I literally was like talking to this guy, like, you know, we're both drinking beers in our jocks. He's telling me he does a podcast, and it was like a very New York thing. And then like literally like a guy was getting rammed.
Yeah.
Within like 5 feet from me.
And how did that make you feel?
But you know what? Here's the thing. When you see sex like that is like so, I don't know, like performative, it loses its eroticism in a way, and it feels like you're just watching somebody at the gym almost. Like,
I had a similar experience because I went to a sex party here as like research for the podcast. And I met a guy who was telling me that he produced gigolos on Showtime or whatever. And then literally next to us in a jail cell is like a hetero couple plowing each other. So that being said, I've never really heard that story when it comes to like lesbian spaces. And like maybe it's because I don't hang out with enough lesbians or enough like in enough queer like women's spaces, but like I've never heard of like my friend got thrown an orgy for his birthday where it was like how many inches he could take. I've never heard of a woman doing that, like a bunch of lesbians or like.
You know where they're doing that is women's college.
Women's college. Okay.
No. Well, I mean, for sure, women's college, but Remy, those spaces exist. I mean, there are play parties that are like AFAB centered, or I mean, I haven't been to them just because, again, I'm more in the gay male world. But yeah,
but again, that's like a specific like play party, whereas like I have guys who will go out in LA and be like, oh yeah, like we were just at a bar. I touched like 4 dicks of people I've never met in the bar.
I'll say this. In my lesbian, dyke-adjacent, non-binary life, I could tell you exactly how many people I have had sex with.
Yes.
And once I started being a twink, I lost track of that number almost immediately.
Literally.
Hilarious.
Almost immediately. I couldn't tell you on average. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. Same. It's like hundreds. It's a different way of having sex too, which we can get into. But yeah.
Yes.
But I want to say, Remy,
get into it.
Well, hold on, Remy, wait. But the thing I do want to say is, Antonia Crane. I want to give her a shout out. She does a lot of work around sex workers' rights here in LA. She was telling me about the dyke bars in San Francisco, like in the 90s and whatnot, and there were dark rooms there. So like, I feel like a lot of this culture has to do with space, and again about like the fact that like, you know, women make less money, there's less real estate,
the bars are closing down.
You know, it's like a lot of this stuff either has shifted, or I mean, again, it's like very particular spaces. Like I never went to Kit Kat Club when I lived in Berlin, but like that's a really popular place that has like all genders and, you know, is you know, whatever. There's like spaces like that, but yeah, about the gay sex. One thing I did want to say about this dungeon, though, I didn't quite finish my story. So that was where I had to learn about PrEP, of course, after the fact, because I browsed, but then, you know, some guy ate me out. It was a really beautiful moment for me. I really loved being in an all-male space. And what I wanted to say is it's such a great feeling. And this is, I think, part of the lesbian envy or whatever, to be unburdened by a female identity when having sex with men. It is literally fucking amazing, because you like the power dynamic is just radically different. Like I love bottoming. It is so much fun. And it is nice to be like, okay, we're 2 dudes. And especially now at this point in my life where I'm like, you know, going to the gym and I'm beefier and I'm huskier. So it's like, I've also reached this point where I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like a cub. And like, it doesn't matter that I don't have a penis. If anything, it's obviously such a beautiful thing. I love my pussy. And it's super cool to be like, we're just two guys fucking. I've been to so many gay saunas, especially like in Berlin. That's like my favorite. Boiler is like this amazing space that's very trans friendly. And I've been to like other dungeons. Like I went to Lab, which is like the dungeon.
This is like a Zagat's guide of gay sex. This is very, you guys, this is good information.
Yeah. And what's cool,
I know, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
What's cool is these places are like trans friendly, which I appreciate. Like one of my friends with benefits, one of my zaddies in Berlin, he has a long-term partner and like they play sometimes together separately, but we'll always go to like a third place in Berlin. And like, either it's like one of these spaces where you pay 10 euros and, you know, there's like a little, like whatever, you put your stuff in the locker and you can like walk around and kind of cruise a space, and they'll have these little cabin spaces where you can have a private space, or there's glory holes. And I remember we went to this one in Schöneberg, which is the gayborhood in Berlin, and just like me getting on the floor and just getting fucked, and us just like, you know, having this like incredible time, and enjoying each other's, you know, just like spirit. It was just like so great. And like, I don't know, it's so different. And I think it sucks that like women, cis women, and even trans women talk about this, like the grief of losing that. It's such a different experience, and it's just really, really beautiful.
I think number one, I think it's really hard to be a woman of any kind who has sex with and loves men. That seems hard to me. I've never done it, and maybe I've never done it because it seemed too difficult. I'm also interested, Syd, in what you were saying about, you know, you being like built and strong and being a cub, because you and I, you know, we're embodied pretty differently. I'm pretty classic twink. And for me, it was kind of the opposite, where as a dyke, I felt like I was too small and I was not strong, and I could not, you know, dominate a woman the way I like felt I was maybe expected to. And then as a gay guy, it was totally fine for me to be like a twink bottom. And actually all of these things that had made me feel inadequate in lesbianism made sense in the gay world. It actually was fine for me to be small.
Yeah.
It was fine for me to be feminine. It was fine for me to be smooth. And it was fine for me to not want to top.
And I'm sure that there are lesbians who are small and smooth and still can dominate.
For sure. No, for sure. For
you
sure.
didn't feel correct about it.
Yeah, that's them. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
James, I'm so glad we're on this pod together, because I also want to ask you about this in regards to race. Because another thing I realized, I mean, again, like, I'll go to the gym, and what's so interesting is I also see how I show up as a Black man. And like, that is because like, I also, because I had this realization. Also, shout out to you, Remy, for this conversation, because I've thought about these things, but I've never really had a space to like talk about this.
Yeah, you guys, shout out to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Shout out to Remy.
Big up, Remy. Because this is the thing. It's like, so I realized a lot of things about my masculinity and being read as a Black man in the world. Because I used to be a little worried about like, being in the locker room.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, I wear briefs or boxers. It doesn't matter. And I feel like with my scars, they're not really visible, or like the way they sit on my body. It's like, I also think what I realized is what I used to have gender dysphoria about, or I was worried about. You look at a lot of men's bodies in a locker room and you realize they have hips and curves and shit. And like,
yes.
Oh my god.
Why are we all getting obsessed with some Fabio aesthetic that dead ass nobody has? And I also think if you're a person of color, you're kind of outside of the like white heteronorm of what bodies look like.
No, I really think that white trans men have a lot more neuroses than us, because the platonic ideal of the man in the American mind is a white man, like a tall, white, masculine man. And so for white people, they have more to not live up to there, whereas the rest of us are already outside of that standard. We'll never hit that standard.
And also, James, to add to this, because I had a conversation once upon a time with this like queer Uber driver.
Not a queer Uber driver.
This was in the Bay. It was so cosmic. I've had some of these like cosmic encounters in Ubers. His dad was a gender affirming surgeon, and we got into a conversation about GAS. And one of the things, too, is because white people's bodies are the norm, it's harder for them to shift out of the binary that they're in. So, like, for white trans women, for example, they'll have to get more corrections sometimes, which causes even more dysphoria. Yeah. And also, there's even stuff he was explaining about the body and the way the body will react to surgery or what have you. That kind of makes things complicated. But anyway, I'll say this. As a Black man, I think, and also, like, again, I'm huskier. So there are ways that I'm already very masculine, or like my body is read in a certain way. And I think Black men are just like either assumed to all have big penises or something. So then
it's a stereotype I've heard.
Yeah, but and there are obviously lots of guys who talk about like that not being true or whatever. But I think that there's this like, you're already like in this like masculine space of sorts, even though I'm like 5'4". Like I thought, okay, I'm short, like blah, blah, blah. But like my body reads like a little rugby player or something, which I did used to do in my lesbian days. And it's kind of funny because all the dyke stuff I did way back then, like being a boxer, rugby, like it all reads as like, okay, you're like this macho man now.
It's like horseshoe theory, right?
I mean, yeah, where it all kind of boomerangs. Well, and the other thing is, I was a stone butch way back when, and so like I just did not get off to fuck or.
Wait, I was literally just asking my friend. Like, I understand a stone top is somebody who doesn't want to be touched themselves,
penetrated, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So, does a stone top not play with themselves?
I definitely want to hear what James has to say too.
The two of us can tell you a lot about that.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, looking back, I'm like, I don't think I masturbated. And the thing, and when I look back, this is okay. So this was my realization. I was like, oh, I think I was literally performing gender and sexuality. And I think I do think it's about power and desire and kind of like what your body gets pleasure off of as far as like power play. Because I used to turn out straight girls all the time. Like had some sort of kink to that. But I look back and I'm like, or was I always this binary guy? And whatever. This is just how this manifested. Is all of this just fucking made up? And we just don't have the language to describe our sexuality and stuff. But I used to get off to that, and it was like this thing of like I loved pleasuring them and topping them, and like I think I also in the back of my mind was like competing with like the cis guy or straight guys that they had been with.
Of course.
So there was this pleasure that I got of being like, well, I'm more of a man than they are because you're with me and like I'm getting you off.
I'm going to fuck you so well and I don't expect anything in return, which is like a huge thing. At least, it was for me for a really long time and still kind of sometimes that it's like, if there's a cis man in the room, like I have to really pay attention to his pleasure. So it could be like, isn't it nice that I'm just here for you and like you don't have to do fucking anything to me? Like, isn't that better than the guys that you've been with?
Yes, but then I will say this, now that I'm doing all this like deep dive psychology stuff, I also look at it as like an extreme form of people pleasing in a weird way and like wanting to be chosen and like, all this like toxic stuff. Because like I said, recently I hooked up with a cis woman who's queer and it was so interesting because like, yeah, I did like her pleasuring me. And I've also really gotten into squirting, which is like this whole other thing that we can also talk about. And I squirted so hard from just eating her pussy out. And
wow.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I mean, she's also Scorpio, so there's that.
She's bringing out that watery energy.
Because Scorpios are also ruled by the genitals. I'm an Aries, so I feel like we're ruled by the head. It's like head, pussy, it is going to be waterworks. Head. Yeah, and it was really surprising to me because I was so nervous of like, oh, am I still going to get off to like hooking up with a cis woman? But I did, and I think, again, it's like the psychology of it, also just the connection that we had, which was really nice, the intimacy. Because I think like I also squirt when I hook up with cis guys, but I feel like with them, it's like I have to have like penetration for a while and then I'm able to like let it go. Whereas like this happened within like a matter of moments and it happened like twice. And it was really like, oh, okay. Like, well, one, I'm fully at ease with my body now. Like I'm truly in alignment with who I am and like comfortable. Also the secret sauce, lime, cucumber, zero Gatorade. They do not have this flavor in New York City. It is only in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, I always have a bunch of that just to stay hydrated. And
ship me some. You want to know what I think about this? Because I have had zero of these experiences.
You squirted before though, right?
No. Yeah. But I'm saying from going from a stone top who's like, don't touch me, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
To transitioning and then becoming comfortable with being touched because now you're comfortable with your body. It's kind of similar to like becoming comfortable with hooking up with women again because you're like so comfortable as a man.
Yeah.
Like it's like this whole like you can be so uncomfortable with doing the same exact thing when you are not in your right headspace and you're not identifying with who you fucking are, and then doing those things years later and fucking loving it because like you are you now.
Can I say, Remy, you hit it on the head, because here's the other thing. Like, I also hooked up with one of my regulars, a cis guy, recently. And also, let's say, like, dungeon experiences, gay sauna experiences. Well, one, me learning about PrEP, obviously being on birth control, Doxy Pep, which I absolutely love as well.
I was going to ask about birth control, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I use Nexplanon, just like under the arm. It works really well. You literally set it and forget it for like 5 years, then change it. So I used to play only with condoms. And now in those spaces, especially gay saunas, like I'll play raw.
I use condoms. I use the Narcs birth control. I kind of like, and maybe this will change over time as my relationship with everything changes, but I like making a guy use a condom. I like being like, to me, it's kind of, I mean, number one, it's a necessary thing because I don't want to get pregnant, but I also kind of like it in a power sort of way where I'm like, yeah, I bet you wish you could feel what this felt like.
Yeah.
I bet you wish, but I don't even know you. So like, no. And to me, I'm sort of like, yeah, I'm used to the strap. Like, to me, a dick with a condom on it, that's still 99% dick.
Totally.
Like, I understand, when people are like, raw sex feels better to me. I get it. And I've had it. I
wouldn't say it feels better. I will say, because I've had condom sex that's also hot, makes me squirt. It's just like the poo-poo platter of options. And like, there was a time, like the last time I was at Transferno, I got like 6 loads. And it was just so empowering to like ask for my pleasure, find the tops that I want, get fucked, squirt on their dicks.
Syd just likes a wide load of different comes.
And sometimes no comes too, like I said, Remy, because there are some guys, again, it's like such a random Russian roulette of like who you vibe with. And like, literally there's a guy, one of my regulars here, he prefers condoms and it's also super hot. So you just never know what the vibe is.
There's a Joel Kim Booster bit that I didn't get before where he says, I like cum, the verb, but not the noun.
Hilarious.
I'm a Pisces. I don't like a mess.
Yeah.
I didn't get that before. Now I'm like, yeah, like throw that away. Like get out of here.
Get it away from me.
Throw that away. Leave no trace. I was a Girl Scout for a long, long time. You should leave the space
an area cleaner than when you came.
Yeah. Exactly. Pick up your trash and throw it away. So I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with people's stuff.
Yeah.
I want them to clean themselves up and then leave.
Can I tell you about what it's like to like have so many loads in you?
Sure.
Again, I was raised Catholic, altar kid. I thought I was asexual in high school, like all of this stuff. And like, there is this incredibly just like degraded feeling of just like having multiple guys come just like ooze out of your hole and looking for more. And I wouldn't even say degradation. It's more like accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like, I mean, I'm a bossy bottom. I choose my tops. I choose what you decide to do. And like, I don't know, it was almost like collecting, I mean, we're talking about Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout too. It was like collecting, the little badges.
Yeah.
I feel like taking loads is like sucking a man's soul out. I feel like
empowered.
Like you've given me your life force, and then you're gonna go and throw it in the trash, throw it away.
Which is, you know what? Everybody's got their own pref. When you're having sex in these spaces, because James, you wrote a tweet recently.
Oh yes, please read my tweet back to me. That's my favorite thing.
I mean, I won't if you don't want me to, but I liked it.
Okay, what was the tweet, Remy?
Okay, the tweet was, in quotes, no gay man would ever be into a trans guy.
Oh, yes.
And then me turning my phone on silent, and it's like, bing, 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 bing from Grindr, like, photo received. Hey, what's up? How are you? Photo received. Hey, tapped you. Hey, how's it going? Like, all these people who have, like, lots of interest. And is that something that you were worried about pre-transition? Like,
this is a crazy thing I'm about to say right now, Remy, but everybody has always been trying really hard to climb up my butt for my whole entire life. So if I'm totally honest,
No.
I wasn't really worried about that.
Okay,
I sort of was
great.
like, okay, like let's open ourselves up to a new demographic of people who's gonna want to have sex with me, whether
I'm
I
dead.
necessarily want that or not.
I'm dead.
So
new.
But I will say I do have a healthy fear of rejection.
Okay.
And so it's been cool, listening to you, Syd, talk about like spas and dungeons and cruising, because currently I don't really do stuff like that because I have like a shrieking fear of rejection. I'm glad to hear, Syd, that you feel so empowered to be like, I choose the tops, because I do choose, but I'm like a spider in a trap. Like I lay in wait for some guy to come to me, and then I go.
Lots of bug
like,
analogies with James today.
I love bugs.
Yeah.
I'm big on bugs.
But you went to Fire Island?
Oh, I love
Fire
Fire Island. I'm about to go in 2 weeks, actually.
So you don't go to that cruisy spot? I forget what it's called.
The meat rack,
Yes.
which is literally just the wooded area between the Pines and Cherry Grove.
It literally sounds like Candyland. Where is Queen Frostine?
She's not in the meat rack, let me tell you. It is a mire of bushes, a true mire. And I'm still learning about this. You know, I consider myself to be pretty young in this era of my life. You know, I've only been doing this for like 3-4 years. I feel most comfortable in kind of the safety of the apps, because at least on the apps,
Okay.
yeah, like Grindr and Sniffies, etc.
No, I just thought you said the yaps. I'm like, really talkative people?
The appetizers.
Oh, well.
But on the apps, you can say, like, this is my deal.
Yes.
You know, like FTM twink bottom.
Yeah.
And then nobody is surprised. You know, nobody is taken off guard. If they hit you up, they've chosen to hit you up.
Yeah.
Things happen sometimes, you know, where a guy will hit me up. I'll send him some nudes. He'll clock the T and be like, whoa, never mind. And that makes me feel like weird, but I'm also like, well,
thank God
you're
this
the one who
wasn't
hit
in
me up
person.
in the first place.
Oh, yeah, that
Exactly. And thank God it wasn't in person, because I can deal online. I don't care if your thing just disappears.
So I will say, if you're in person, I mean, in the spaces I'm in, you literally see my pussy. Or like, what's nice about Boiler, which is like my favorite gay sauna, it's in Berlin, literally the best in Europe. What's cool though, it's like, you know, some guys, they'll be like feeling in the dark and then realize like, oh, this is like a pussy, and either not be into it. And this is the thing, what I love about gay male culture, which truly helped me build my confidence on Grindr, Scruff, like all of these in IRL spaces, is you don't take it personally. Like, I love how it's like, okay, if I'm not for you or you're not for me, we just like fucking move on.
You don't take it personally, but I would kill myself.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you don't take it personally. I need to do more.
No, but both, because this is the thing, is you just like you can block people on Grindr, which I do all the time, or I used to do, you know, when I was on there, or you know, you just go like, okay, cool, and then like I move on, because there's so many other people.
I know, but if somebody had just grabbed my vagina and then was like, bye, I would be like, no,
like, because they're being literally like,
I know, I think
to choose from. They're like right there.
I understand what you're saying.
I do too. I
understand what you mean culturally.
Yeah,
but I think I need to do more work on myself to be able to accept that.
Yeah.
And I also think we had started talking about this. You know, you and I are embodied really differently, and I think I'm still in a place where I don't totally know how people read me when I show up in the space. Like, I really don't know a lot of the time. I'm very androgynous. I had an old roommate who was an older lesbian who told me once I have a deep androgyny. And I think that was true as a lesbian. I think it's true now. The way that I'm embodied as a gay boy is effeminate. I'm very effeminate. I wear jewelry. I wear earrings. You know, women hit on me all the time, if I'm honest.
Okay.
And I don't think they're hitting on me as a guy, really. I think they're hitting on me as like a dyke, or like a masculine dyke style person.
Maybe.
So what I'm saying is, I think you have great confidence that you've earned, you know, from living this life that I don't have yet. I don't feel confident to just like walk into the IRL space necessarily and engage in that way because I have my own insecurity. I'm Asian, I'm smooth, I'm beautiful. What can I say?
Yeah.
About like how gay guys are gonna read
Yeah,
me.
I also think just from hearing like the different experiences, like it sounds like the first spaces Syd that you were in and the ones in Europe are quote unquote trans friendly, like that's part of it. Whereas I've heard things about Fire Island where it's like
Fire Island is psycho.
right.
And that's how I know I'm a real demon twink, is that I love Fire Island. And it's like actually kind of a psychotic and toxic place.
What makes you say it's psycho? Because I still haven't been to Fire Island.
Oh,
it's on my...
I would be interested to know what you think because it's pretty toxic. It's like wealthy, white, you know, vacation, cis gays, very wealthy, very white.
Built.
It looks like a bunch of mannequins. Yeah. Big, huge muscle, you know, gym queens. And, you know, they do the gay guy thing that they do sometimes where if they don't see you as like a sexual prospect, they don't see you at all.
Yeah.
And their eyes are glazed over while they're scanning the crowd for some other guy that looks just like them. It's also a place of like, I do love it.
Yeah.
So it's also a place of like great fun. I have an amazing time with my friends. I have had amazing sex on Fire Island. But again, for me, a lot of the time it comes from like apps, like somewhere where people can see what my whole deal is and select me rather than me being like out at underwear party or out at tea. Like, not that it's never happened, but I don't often get like hit on in those spaces.
I will say the like Ken doll of it all for Fire Island. So one of my best friends, the first time he ever went there, he had been working in PR at Seven Jeans. So he brought everyone in the house that he was with. It was like 27 guys, the same pair of pants. And there's this amazing photo of all of them, but they all look the same. And my friend was squishier, you know, and paler.
Slightly softer.
And paler. And like, while still like a cis gay white man, stuck out like a sore thumb in this photo where like by all intents and purposes like he's exactly the same except for like no, because like they are all like Love Island bodies and it's just like
interesting.
Again, he loves Fire Island too, you know, like there's still like this bevy of like fun and joy and like it's like an amazing queer space and
it's a gay space, let's be clear. I would not call, especially the Fire Island Pines, a queer space at all.
Although I will say,
it's
you know,
gay.
maybe what's different is like the places I'm describing are fairly diverse.
right.
Yes.
And the fact that they say trans friendly is like part of it, like that's not part of Fire Island.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because I was going to say too, like, big shout out to Chris, who is the trans masculine person who created Transferno, because they did this specifically, again, with trans masculine, trans men in mind, because a lot of people are scared, you know, kind of what to James' your point of like, well, how do I approach people in this way? Or, you know, and I will say, like, the guys who are in there, like, the cis guys are super respectful for the most part. If you don't, you know, if somebody's being creepy or whatever, you can tell them and, like, have that person removed. But I also love the fact that, like, again, I've met or hooked up with so many diverse people in the space. And I've also been to Black dark rooms, too. So I also should, like, name that, because that's also, like, a different dynamic. I will say, at least like the one I went to, like in New York, it wasn't as well organized, which I didn't like. And I realized I don't really like the dark room experience. Like I actually like to see people. Like I like
you don't like to play Who's in My Mouth?
I know, because you know it's not like, again, there's certain things that you think are erotic, like I don't know, taking a shower together naked. Not really fun when you actually do it, you know, because it's like
terrible.
Somebody's always cold.
Someone's always cold.
Yeah, you know, it's like respect on the beach. It's like, do you want sand in your hole? No. There's like stuff like that where you're just like, nah. But I also think it really depends on what you want to do.
In the Black dark rooms, is it like exclusively Black, or is it like other people can go to?
Well, this party, I'm trying to remember if it was like a BIPOC party or what. I just know that it was like Black queer focus, and there were trans women who were like part of it, because I also feel like, or who were like the organizers.
But
so
is it like, don't come if
you're like a white person?
Yeah.
Honestly, I doubt they would turn anyone away, but I just feel like the way it was advertised, it was more to a Black queer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say it was Deviant. I can't remember, because this is like a big Black queer play party thing in New York.
Because Transferno sounds like a lot of cis people are there.
Well, it's a mix.
It's specifically, it's curated like to be like trans guys and cis guys.
And actually, I would say now there's way more T for T these days, which surprised me, because last time I was there, I was like, oh.
I gotta say, Asians have a lot of hang-ups with each other. Asian Americans have a lot of hang-ups.
That they won't hook up with each other?
Yeah. Oh, wow. About being like legitimized by doing stuff with people who aren't Asian. There's some cultural thing there that like...
Well, it also sounds like...
I'm trying to hammer out.
Like T for T is like the next level of self-acceptance too, right?
Yes and no.
I mean, I don't know about levels,
no,
but...
I'm not levels, but like...
I'm sort of... It is interesting. I wouldn't say I'm like not T for T, like anti or against, but I am not like as far as what I'm like literally historically doing for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, there's also less trans people than there are cis people.
Well, sure, but they're definitely out there, and they definitely want to hook up.
Everybody wants to hook up with you. We know.
It's my burden. You wouldn't understand.
No, never.
My life is so hard.
Yeah.
But I think that people, turn to T for T because they're comforted by the idea of having, this core thing in common with your partner. But to me, it's like saying middle class for middle class.
Sure. Sure.
It's just, to me, it's just kind of like a random aspect of your identity that like, it is nice when you have it in common with someone else, but like there's any number of ways that you can have something in common or not in common with someone.
Agreed.
And so to me, like, I think, especially again, when it comes to like white people who are really like outspoken about T for T, it's sort of like, okay, but that's because you're operating from like a place of default.
Yeah, where like you have
that's like a key thing for you to have.
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas like I don't think like if I hook up with a white trans guy, I'm like, sure, we have something in common.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually necessarily mean that we're really seeing eye to eye about anything. Like if I'm honest. So to me, that's why I'm just not.
But all of this,
super
like race and being trans and whatever, like it's the luck of the draw of like how you were born. But yes, it does contribute to your experiences. So it's like sometimes that's really fun to have somebody with a similar experience, and sometimes it's really fun like just to like connect on personality, and it doesn't matter.
I don't do T for T, and it's more like the T's never really hit me up.
T for two for T.
T for one.
They hit me up, but they want me to top.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I never get hit up,
and I don't want to.
When I was at Boiler, I hooked up with a trans guy for the first time, like maybe like a year or so ago.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, because I think I used to be so judgy. I look back in my lesbian days. Well, one, I think I was really biphobic. Embarrassing. So many of us were.
I think we all were. Yeah.
Dude, it's so fucked up. Especially
Sorry, Remy.
I literally used to get mad at Anne Heche because I was like, she's lying. She pretended to be a lesbian to like fuck Ellen, and like she really is straight. Like, and now I'm like, Sex and the City did a number on me.
Dude, I swear that episode, Lord of Mercy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and that was the one.
Bisexuality is just a one-way train to Gay Town. They say.
Oh my god, so terrible. But yeah, I used to be so judgy of people because now I identify as pan, queer. Like I'm kind of like it because I see that it's about the connection with the person, and I've been thinking about this in like a larger like philosophical way of like, okay, if we're all little stardust, and little balls of energy, like. Again, I think the eroticism, the desire, the like thing that's great about sex is a power exchange. Whether it's like I'm getting you off, you're getting me off, or like we're doing this together. and like, you know, all of the energy, whatever is going off in my brain, neuron wise, whatever. So it's just like you can have different power dynamics with different people. And like even some of the best sex of my life, I'm like, why was it this like one white guy in his 50s from Palm Springs? Like I literally we had so much fun fucking each other.
Because Dan is awesome.
Dan has a good vibe. He's lived a long life.
Yeah. He's a very caring man.
Just like stuff like that where I'm like, there's no way I thought this. And I will also say too, I let go of, I feel like I had so many identity politics hangups. Like post Black Lives Matter was so toxic when I think about it, because it literally created this inverted like pyramid of like, you know, like, oh, all white people are evil forever or something. And like, it's just like, dude, you don't know where people are at. And like, literally some of the worst hookups I've had are men of color who are around my age who are cis. And it's oftentimes because they have this like particular way of thinking of themselves as tops of like, you know, like, oh, I'm going to be like super dominant and not actually listen to you and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I have to be like, because I usually will host, like I live by myself. And they, I think, would get intimidated by the fact that, yeah, I'm a bottom, but it's like, I have my life together. I'm really fucking smart. Like, I have a career. You know, you're not going to like dom me on like these aspects of my life. And like, I don't know, they'll get intimidated and completely deflate. And I truly would be that person who'd be like, all right, you got to, no shade, you got to go home because I'm horny. And, it's, you know, you got to keep this train moving. You know what I mean? So
I've had weird experiences with cis Asian twinks also.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar
in
thing,
what way?
because you're also successful and powerful in your own way.
No, I'm like very anonymous on the apps just because I don't like it's New York City. You can't tell somebody that you have like a kind of successful performance career. Or
literally,
like
they're
they get
like
all weird.
Same.
No, they get crazy. No, they're like, well, I moved here to be a musical theater dancer, and I was in the chorus on Broadway in 2014. So everything's fine. Now let's fuck. And I'm like, no, I have to. I have like a beautiful framed portrait from my off-Broadway solo show that I turn backwards when guys come over. Because I can't have them see like a picture of me on stage. But to speak on, again, the raciality of it all, and the way that it manifests differently for the two of us in America, is like I get a lot of Asian twinks who are usually bottoms, but they want a top. For me, I'm like the opposite of Troye Sivan's Bloom. I get bottoms to only top for me. And then they don't know like how to do it.
Yes, that's so unfortunate.
Or they get weird because they're like, oh, usually I don't have to like be in charge of all this stuff.
Yeah, and you're like taking their virginity in a way.
But James, that is so ironic because some of my best tops are the ones who love to bottom, and they literally tell me like, yeah, because I mean, and they're usually good at it because they know what. Yeah,
those are people who are being thoughtful and applying what they like to other people.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I have hit, I think, a few who just have not. They think it's like a fun idea.
Yeah. I have a question re virginity. Did you, like, both of you had sex before your transition? Did you see the first, like, was there a new virginity that you felt you had to go through or no?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because the straps I was getting fucked with as a lesbian were so much bigger than the first like human cock I ever took.
Yeah.
That like by the time I got to the human dick, I was like, oh, this is easy. This is so easy. Like it made me understand so many things. Starting to have sex with men, it made me understand sex work more. It made me understand just like when women would be like, you know, dick is abundant and of low value.
Yes.
It made me understand how easy it is to have sex with men because it was literally easy.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to take, you know, an 8-inch hard silicone cock all of a sudden.
But not mentally different either. Not like, oh, this is my first This is my first time as a boy.
A little bit, but like I don't know. I feel like I've just been having like some sort of gay sex for
Fair.
so long that I was like, I'm not going to give you the power. Like, I'm not going to give you that sort of authority over. Like, you're not taking anything
memorable.
from me.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s.
Yeah,
literally.
Well, Remy, I was going to say I had the exact opposite. If anything, I had to get
hilarious.
Well, like I said, one, I was a stone, so I never got penetrated. And so I had to get used to that. And I had to kind of like train myself as well. Like, I think I even had the ones, like those little packs where you can like build up to the size
dilators.
of the dildo. Yeah, exactly. And I would play with myself. I got a glass dildo from Pleasure Chest. Shout out to Pleasure Chest.
I used to work there.
Yeah.
I love it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and like I think for me, like I said, it was like one of those things where you're just like, it was a new sensation and I had to get used to like, again, relaxing my body. It's also kind of why I use indica or like CBD oil in my lube. And I also think testosterone, because you know how like tea gives you muscles. I think the muscles in my vagina also got
strengthened.
Stronger. Yeah, because I would love, I mean, I still do love to like clench on a dick or relax and like also be able to like have control over my body in that way of like not only receiving the pleasure, but like giving it to, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, I also got into the habit of squirting and like getting used to just releasing and like really enjoying that. And like now it's like a standard thing. I mean, I can squirt like multiple times in one session, which feels really powerful.
Okay, we're bragging.
True. It's not a brag if it's the truth. When I was at lab, there's like a part that's kind of their dark room area, and you have all these like, I don't know what you call it, with the pleather, and like basically all the bottoms are just like waiting to get fucked and their asses are all up. They're like in like child's pose. And guys will be like lined around just like jerking off, and like you'll walk around and maybe a top will like fuck a bottom or whatever. And I remember I was just like with the guys, also pleasuring myself, just kind of jerking off. And I squirted so loudly in this space. And it just felt so powerful. Because also like, you know, it's like gushing sound versus like, you know, cum.
Yeah.
And I think like people were like, whoa, what's that? And it just felt so nice to be like,
that was me.
Yes, I'm a trans guy in this space. And also this is what my body can do that you can't. Ha ha ha.
Well, may I refer to you the splash blanket?
I need to get this. I need to get this.
It's by Rosie Reese. I have not used it for sex yet. I just sleep with it around my head. It's very comfortable, but
I had to throw mine away after a breakup. It was saturated in too many bad memories.
Yeah, no, I've just mostly been using it for like soy sauce and food.
Can I say this about virginities?
Yeah.
Is I think I've taken a lot of guys' virginities.
Okay. I love that. I'm jealous of that.
It's funny that I don't think about it the same way, like for me. But I do like break in a lot of guys who have never been with a trans guy.
Okay.
This is what this is the whole thing, is that like I used to break in straight women. Now I break in gay men. And that's range.
You're a breaker. You break people.
I'm a breaker. Yes, exact. That actually is exactly what I'm in the business of doing, is breaking a big strong man open to a point that he's never been before.
Yeah.
But not through, almost without him ever knowing.
It's so interesting you said you like having first timers, because I will say I got to a point where I'm like, no more first timers. Like
I might get tired of it. But again, it hasn't been that long.
I only asked just like, do you feel like you have to teach? Because I think I got to a certain point where I was like, this is a 700 level class. 101 is for someone else. So I was curious, like, how do you navigate that? Or like, does that give you pleasure to also give guidance for new people?
I just like to see a guy's mind get totally blown by something he's never done before. I was talking to Kyle Lukoff, the author Kyle Lukoff. He's a gay trans man. And this was like before I had really started to explore this side of myself. And he was saying that he likes to break in guys. The specific phrasing he said was, I like when they think it's going to be kind of gross, when they think that they're not going to like it. And then they realize they do.
I love making people try foods they don't want to eat.
Yes. Yes.
No, literally. I'm like, no, trust me, you're gonna love it. And they're like, ew, 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 ew. And I'm like, just eat it. And then they're like, wait, this is amazing. And I'm like, I know. And I know things, and now you're better for it.
Yes. At the time I didn't get that at all. And I feel like to speak to, some of what you were saying, Syd, about loving your pussy as a trans man. I don't think I even understood what my pussy was for until this one hookup I had one time in LA with this really beautiful Asian guy with a huge dick who kept he pursued me really heavily. And specifically what he kept saying was, I want you to take my pussy virginity. And so I eventually said yes. I went over to his house, and I swear to God, he fucked me for 2 minutes, for a minute and 30 seconds. Oh. And then he made this sound like a goat dying and just collapsed on me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so powerful.
Literally.
Yes. I had never done anything like that before.
2 seconds with it.
And I hadn't tried to do anything. It wasn't the same as when I give a woman a really amazing orgasm because I'm doing the stuff to her. That takes a lot of effort. This, I did nothing. I laid there and I destroyed this man in a way that he had never experienced before.
I have asked cis men this before. I'm like, it's so interesting that Freud came up with penis envy, because aren't you guys jealous of what people with pussies can do? We can make you come without doing anything.
Some of them. It's so interesting. We're so different, James.
Yes, we are.
I feel like, if anything, I'd be like, bitch, 2 minutes, get the fuck out of here. I'd be like,
oh, I loved it. Cause I literally was like, I had to go somewhere that evening, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to have enough time after my hookup to go get boba. And then I left his place and was like, wow.
And you had time for boba.
I had 2 hours. I can take a leisurely walk, get my boba, walk home in the sun, take my time, take a shower, get changed. I loved it. It was so efficient.
James doesn't like the viscosity of cum, but then the viscosity of boba? Acceptable.
Yes. Everything in its right place.
It's so interesting because for me, I'm such a marathon sex person. I love the duration. I love long sessions. And the guys who are too quick, it's always a little disappointing too, because you're just like, oh, well, okay. And then, for me, I'm blocking out time, I think, is what my big thing is. And
maybe I just have ADHD.
Could be.
And a hankering for boba.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, time for me to watch TV. I have to go.
Well, I was going to say, because we're talking about power. So I feel like it's interesting hearing your story, James, of the way that you feel like you get power and sex. Because I'm like, yeah, I feel like maybe that's just a difference. Is my power is from a different place. But it's so cool to hear about.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that given all of the sort of objectively degrading sex that I have had over the past couple of years, that's my way. Because if I want to, I could be like, oh my God, I had sex with a weird old guy in a car. I feel so ashamed and embarrassed. Or I can walk away and be like, wow, I crushed that man. I destroyed him. And now I'm never going to see him again. And I don't feel embarrassed about that.
Because I will say with power too, I've actually recently I would say in the past year I like bottoming, I got into that, but there was a certain point I hit where I really loved men's bodies. I learned, I love dick, I love balls, I'll smack a dick in my face, or just really enjoy my partner. And it's
watch it grow in your hand.
Yeah, or in your mouth, but also
or in your mouth. Well, you can't watch it if it's in your mouth, but yes.
Yeah. Imagine that, I guess, in your mind, you're fine. But yeah, and it's both of our powers combined, and even like being able to submit. And this to me is like such a 180 from my butch dyke days, where it was like submission felt taboo, or like I was like, oh, I don't want to do this thing, or whatever. Whereas like I hit this point where I'm like, no, I love that I get to give you my power, and like I get to receive your power, and also that as a bossy bottom, I get to tell you what to do, or like we get to negotiate that.
Yeah. It's interesting that you're like, I get to give you my power as a man, but then with women, it was like, is there any power to give? And I want to retain the like little power that I have, just the way that like the world looks at women and treats women.
Yeah. Or like, or that I had to give power. Again, it was like a very active thing instead of like, no, I'm going to receive.
Mm-hmm. Are there ever people that you're hooking up with who request one hole over the other?
They always want to do both.
Okay.
But I
Wow.
don't. I have a very
no truffle butter policy.
sensitive digestive system. I don't think maybe this will change over time. Maybe I'll get bored and need like a new project for my body.
Mm-hmm.
But as it is right now, I have a very sensitive digestive system.
Okay.
Which makes me not particularly interested in exploring that.
I've tried anal, and here's the thing that sucks about it. Well, first of all, I love my front hole. I get way more pleasure from that. Also, I love that, again, like what's so special about pussy is like I truly have like loved my pussy way more as a trans boy than I think I did as a lesbian.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because like we don't have to prep our holes. They self-clean. I mean, I will say I'm 8 years on T, so like the whole thing is like the lining, you start to atrophy, so I have to use more lube.
Okay.
I use estradiol now, so it's like every couple of days.
I use estradiol.
You just pop that in and it keeps you lubricated.
It's a suppository?
It's a suppository.
Yeah. But the thing that is kind of annoying with anal, well, number one, you have to do all this prep work and relax and blah. I will also say the pleasure zone for me is highly concentrated. And I remember it only feels like it's like one part of my brain, and it's not, whereas like, it's almost like if, like, I feel like front hole sex for me is like an indica high where it's like my full body versus like a sativa high where it's just your brain. And it's not even a sativa high for me because it's like only one little point in my brain. And I'm like, all this fucking work for that.
I smoke sativas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when I was smoking, I was
only
more
sativas.
of an indica person anyway. But
when I was smoking, I was verse.
You were a hybrid.
I've never made a decision in my life.
You can enjoy all of the above. I don't know, but it just to me, it's not worth it. It's so much fucking work for nothing. Where it's like I'd rather. Just,
I mean, maybe this is me being a special snowflake again, but I really am sort of like, look, if you want to fuck ass, that's amazing. There's a million guys who can give you that.
Yeah.
If you want to do something a little different,
totally.
Like that's where I'm.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually achieved gender euphoria last year.
Congrats.
Which was really surprising to me, and it was through sex, and it was like literally, I was like fucking this older black guy in his 50s. And I think he was kind of like, I don't know, straight-ish or what have you. So he knew his way around like my body in a certain way, or at least my whole.
Yeah.
And there was just like this incredible feeling of like the daddy boy connection, but also just like this person fucking me with his like big cock, and like this thing of being seen in my fullness as a man, as a boy, and like also a man who has a pussy. And it was like literally, I mean, I've had sex where it's like euphoric for days, but it was so like crazy to me because I was like, whoa, like gender euphoria is real, and like it can actually happen. And like I wasn't expecting it to come through sex, which was like truly beautiful. So anyway,
that's awesome.
It does get better. I was gonna bring it back to our being savage. So all the trans kids listening, you too can find yourself through sex.
Okay, well, so I had the weirdest urge today. Just go with me with this.
Tell us.
To watch Little Women, the new one. I was like, I've never seen it. I saw the old one once. I'm not really clear on what like the whole storyline was. Why didn't she marry Laurie? Like, what was the whole deal with that? So I watched the new Little Women. At the end of it, it's pretty clear that the character of Jo does not want to marry a man. And that like her editor, the book that she's writing, he makes her main character end up with a guy because he's like, people want to see women end up married and in a romantic relationship. But it's clear that the character of Jo herself does not end up with anyone. So it's basically like a semi-autobiography by Louisa May Alcott. She was like a famous spinster. So I Googled, was Louisa May Alcott a lesbian?
Oh, well.
It says, while Louisa May Alcott expressed a strong attraction to women and even stated, I have fallen in love with so many pretty girls and never once the least little bit with any man, there's no definitive evidence to prove she was a lesbian. She also explored themes of gender nonconformity and a desire to be a man in her writing, leading some to believe she may have identified as a transgender man.
Ooh.
Alcott's repeated expressions of wishing she had been born a boy, her preference for male names, and her descriptions of herself as having a man's soul in a woman's body are often cited as evidence for her potential transgender identity.
Wow.
Ultimately, there's no concrete evidence to definitively label Alcott as a lesbian or a trans man. Her personal experiences and feelings are open to interpretation, and the language available to her at the time may not have fully encompassed modern understandings of gender and sexuality.
Well,
If you call it little men, that is a fairly accurate representation of trans men.
that's true.
In
So funny.
in the movie, though, they're like, oh, like our one brother, we can't send him off. And I just thought, I was like, what fucking possessed me to watch this today of all days?
No, you were thinking about us subconsciously.
Right?
Also, Joan of Arc is another one like this where I feel like lesbians used to claim her, but like I forget where I was in Paris not too long ago and reading this description of her in the Pantheon, and it's giving very non-binary or trans. Like,
Yeah,
there's
like
a
we
lot.
can't transvestigate these people, but I do think
Love that.
when people today are like, there's never been any trans people or whatever, it's like, okay, well, like, would you interpret what this person was saying like decades ago or like centuries ago as like potentially what's going on right now? Like maybe there have been all along.
There's a lot.
She did write a book called Little Men.
She did?
Yeah, so maybe you should read that and report back to us.
Okay. Well, you guys, I'm so happy to have had you on. I wish I could keep you forever, but I feel like it's already low-key been forever.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you
course.
so much, Remy. This is amazing.
I'm so almost happy we didn't get to any of the traumatic things that are happening in this world, but like,
Oh no, we don't have to talk. We already know.
yeah, no,
True.
it's just, yeah, there's hate crimes going on. If you see something, say something, don't bury it. I think maybe this month, since it's Pride, focus on trans joy and queer joy and gay joy as much as possible, and like,
And get railed up against a tree.
Yes.
or by an old man in a car.
Yes, or go to a gay con for the first time. Do it.
Yeah.
Go to Transferno. And I also, Remy, shout out to you for centering trans pleasure.
Hell yeah.
Because rarely are we ever given, especially trans masculine pleasure. Like, we're even hyper marginalized in our own trans communities. So for you to create the space with me and James and Cersei is so special. Thank you.
You're so sweet, but literally I feel honored to even be able to talk to you guys about this because it's like so
Aw.
important. And it's going to make other people feel really great too and like inspire them to fuck an old guy in a car.
Hell yeah.
If I can do one thing in my life, okay, but everybody be safe. If you're going to get into a
Be
strange
safe.
man's car, be
Yeah.
safe. Don't necessarily do the things that
Prep.
I've done.
Or
Birth
PrEP,
control,
doxy,
pills,
doxy.
Condoms.
Also, just know what risk you want to take with your body. There is no safe sex anymore, I've learned. It really is about what is the level of risk you want to take autonomy over your body, and just get informed and get tested regularly. Like, seriously, can't emphasize that more.
And if at any point you're done and you want to leave, you're allowed.
Leave.
Amen. Or kick people out.
When I was Tindering, I kicked this man out of me. He goes, I'm not done. I said, well, I don't know you, so I don't care about your jizz. And I got the fuck out of there.
Amen.
I think I have a lot to learn from that.
Just do it. Just do it once.
Yeah, twice, 20 times.
You know?
I've definitely...
See it as a fun little experiment.
Nobody has to finish. Seriously, if you're not feeling the vibe, I literally kick people out either mid or even I see your face. It's not the vibe. Goodbye and have a good night.
Hilarious.
No shade.
Okay, Syd, where can everybody find you online?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram, Sydney Baloue, at Sydney Baloue, SydneyBaloue. I'm not really on Twitter these days. I feel like that's my best. And then I lurk on TikTok. But
okay, great.
And I'll be in New York June 20th to the 30th and London July, or June 30th till July 7th. So
if anyone wants to hook up. James, where can everybody find you?
You can find me just about everywhere at James Tom XO. That's JamesTomXO, like a kissy face.
Cutie.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
Of course, I do. I have to ask everybody this after a sexual experience, which this has been. Syd, did you finish?
Oh, yes, I did. I squirted all over this.
Okay, great. James, did you finish?
Oh, I am done. I am spent.
Okay.
And I'm kicking you all out of my house.
You guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to watch you
Thank
go.
you for having our cum.
I finished too. You can follow me at Remy Casimir. The podcast is How Come Podcast. And if you want to watch this conversation unedited with video, patreon.com/howcome. All right, guys, this has been so much fun. Let's all say bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just...
Whoa, Remy, this is such a 180 from the conversation. I feel like I was so chaste back in like 2020. I was like, I don't want to talk about genitals. And now I'm like, so I spurt.
I know. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. It's been a journey, truly. And also, I don't know, James, how you feel about this, but I feel like there was this push for us to never talk about our genitals as trans people. And I feel like it was it was a mix of respectability / trans women dominating the discourse and being like, stop asking me if I have a dick. And as a trans guy, I just feel like, no, we do need to talk about pussies. Like, I want to write more about my sexcapades and experiences. And like, this is such a crucial step for me to do that. So
just do it.
I'm grateful that you at least gave me that baby step because it's a big step for me. So thank you.
For sure. I'll send you the unedited version too if you want to just like log things from it.
Oh, thank you.
James, I hope we fucking see each other in person on a show someday in our lives.
I know. I really think we really haven't seen each other in like many, many years.
I never get booked with people I like. It's really a problem.
Wow. Only people you hate.
No, it's really weird.
So by the time we do see each other, I'll know how you feel about me.
Legit. No, maybe I'll throw my own thing so that I can have control over the...
Do it, Remy.
Yeah. Hit me up. When I'm around, I'm around.
Okay, great. Love you both so much. Thank you
again.
Thank
you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Okay, great.
See y'all later.
See ya. Bye.